Okay, I think I'm ready. Let's see. It's been a while since I've live streamed, so got a little bit of a learning curve to jump back into everything. But I think I've got my IDE set up. Let's see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. And then my Salesforce page. Where's my Salesforce page? There it is. Or I guess my browser, not my Salesforce page. So that looks good. And yeah, we're ready to rock. All right, so we are going to be building a LWC to-do list. I need to build a to-do list. It's one of the most basic beginner level apps. Like if you search trying to learn how to build anything, a to-do list app is most likely going to come up. So I'm going to be building one because I need one for the LWC course that I'm building out. And I need to, preview it, build it first, and then I can teach it a lot better. So if you're interested in that, or if this is too fast, because I'm going to go a little bit fast here, I'm going to skip over a few things. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out whenever I release the full course. There will be a project on this to-do list where I'll explain everything more step by step. And I see a few people in the chat. Hello, Naveen. Thank you for joining in and let me know that this is actually working. So I appreciate that. Okay, let me make sure audio is coming through. I might just be talking to nobody. Audio looks like it's good. Let's jump into this. So like I said, building an LWC app. The first thing, or an LWC to-do list, the first thing I need to do is find some inspiration because I am not a designer at all. There are plenty of really great designers and people that have that kind of eye, but for me, I don't have it. So for me, I need to go and find some inspiration. I'm just going to do JavaScript to-do list, see what comes up. Let's click on a bunch of these. And ideally, I'm just going to walk through my process for all of you, right? This is how I would go about building out something very simple, prototypey. We won't get too far into LWC. We'll build it out, we'll make it work. I'll probably spend maybe an hour on this. But, we're not going to do imperative apex or do some crazy call outs and stuff like that. All right, so this one for a to-do list looks like you need an input box. We can have a title. We can hit add. This one, we can click on them to mark it as checked and then hit the X to close them out. So not the best styling with SLDS and stuff like that. The style will look a lot better. Let's see what this one looks like. We type in, they probably pressed enter. Oh, live demo, let's do that. So test, you press enter, it pops up. You can click on it for a check. It marks it out. I kind of like the mark out. And then an X there, it'll bring you back to the default state. I kind of like the default state. Disable ad blocker, never. Let's also look up LWC to-do lists just to see if any pop up. Looks like there's some tutorials here. Let's jump into these. So this one, probably very similar to what we're going to create, right? There's the items in here surrounded by a box. I've got to delete. I'll probably add either a click or a checkbox to say you've completed it, and maybe even edit functionality. So this one looks pretty solid. I do like the refresh button too, maybe to just reset everything that's going on here. All right. So this one looks good as in terms of inspiration, at least for getting this done kind of quickly. This looks pretty good. Type in, we probably press the add button and it gets added to the list. I would like to do something other than just, adding it as an individual item, probably its own child component here. In this one, they're using, what are they using? If they're doing NPX, they're probably doing some local development stuff. This is a little extra. But kind of cool. All right, so I think we've got enough inspiration. We need a box, an input box. We need some button to add it to our list. We need to create a list and probably some top level stuff. So I'll close these out and I'll probably leave this one up because I like that one, and close out all the rest of them. So now we need to get started, right? So where I'm at so far, I've just created a brand new project. So Control-Shift-P, create project with manifest. I assigned it to a specific org, and then I'm gonna do create Lightning Web Component, call it to-do. I think I already have a to-do list in this org, so I'm just gonna call this one to-do. That's good enough. And then open up these files. The other thing that I'm kind of toying around with is that we've recently gotten Copilot, so I'm gonna activate that and try to play around with it to see how well it does at helping me create this. The next thing is preview this locally. So instead of saving and deploying it to my org all the time, I'm going to preview it locally, which will help out with just the speed of development. I don't really need this to go into an org right away. I can, previewing it locally will help speed up that development. All right, just checking the chat really quickly. If you see a few folks actually watching, which is kind of exciting because yeah, it's been a while. Okay, my local development server is pulled up. If you've never seen this, there are a bunch of tutorials on how to use that and how to get set up. The last thing I want to check is on, okay, we're good there. Okay, so we've got this to-do list. We need to start like building out some stuff for it. Let's jump into our best friend, the LWC card. Big fan of the LWC card. It makes things just look really nice. So I'm just gonna take this boilerplate here, steal that, drop it in. Let's see what this looks like. So we've got hello, body, and a new button. This can probably be our refresh button, but maybe we'll just take that out for right. Let's comment that out for right now. And close some of this stuff down, increase our size a little bit. Okay, so we need to figure out our body and our footer and the name. We'll call this to-do list. And then for the body, like we mentioned, we need to add in an input for it. We need to be able to take value, like it's like already doing everything. So this is one thing I wanted to play around with Copilot to see how much it would actually give me when I'm building this out. So this is recommending that we create a Lightning input, which is correct. And the one thing with all of these like code generation tools is, you know, they're going to be dropping stuff from, oops, I clicked out of it. They're going to be pulling things from GitHub and all these other places to try to figure out what we actually want. But it doesn't mean that it's correct, right? So you do have to check it as you put these through. So it's got a label for new to-do list. We've got a variant, and I might wrap this too, just so that we can kind of see it on stream a little bit better. So we've got an input, and I don't like that. We'll probably need an input type. Let's throw in the type equals text, save this, and let's see what it looks like if anything pops up. Loading, loading, loading. So not too bad. We've got our input here. It says new to do. We can type, but we can't press anything. If we press the add button, which I'm clicking here, nothing happens. Let's jump over to our console and we can see a bunch of errors popping up whenever we press add because we haven't configured the function. But the automated generation of this code like helps save time, right? Like I didn't have to type out any of this stuff. I did have to fix the type because I don't think it added a type in here. And it doesn't have anything for, I don't think we need a default value just yet. Let's remove that. But overall, the structure is looking pretty decent for this to-do list app. The next thing that we want to do is so we have our button and we have our input and we want it to show up on the screen somewhere. So what I will do for right now is just make it show up in the footer in a UL. So this is an unordered list and it's already filling in what I want here. So we need to create a template, a for each, and for all of our to-dos, we need to iterate over the to-do values. It's going to want a key in here. So key, I think it's key equals to do dot ID, and we need to create this object structure. And what's going on here? There's no matching P. How? Where? There's a P right here. There's a P right here. For the paragraph tags. I'm just going to save that for right now and see if it still barfs. Well, nothing's going to come up on the screen. It's going to really start complaining. All right, where am I missing my paragraph tags? Hold on. Let's comment this out. So it's something in here where it does not like. It's most likely this being messed up. All right, so let's start figuring out some of the back end of this before we go too far. Jumping over here, we need to create a function called, in this case, it called it AddToDo, which I kind of don't like that name. I'll probably change it when in the full tutorial of this. But we can at least keep the name the same. Let's make sure that this AddToDo is actually working, and then throw an event or capture an event and do, what do we got here? Like event.target. And we probably won't be able to see anything inside of there. We'll just need to take the value from here. Yeah, well, let's see what that looks like. All right, this is reloaded. We've got some stuff coming through, which is great. And this is the overall value. I know where this was going. Since this had a value in here, like this, value equals to do. If we create a to do, it's blank, we can see the value that's inside of to do. All right, so we type in here. Oh, it's this dot to do. Sorry. All right, add to do, this dot to do. This should be coming through. This is called to do. We probably have too many things named to do. Lightning input and our to-do list value. Let's make sure these are hooked up. All right, they are hooked up. That's got ASD. This is keeping the value for it. So why isn't this changing? Let's make sure our inputs are done correctly. I'm fairly certain that's supposed to change, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Jumping through here to make sure that the value of our input is changed. I think we've got an example on the button, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. So looking for, you see, is it my console? See somebody saying that. So we need to be printing out this value. We've got this, and we should be resetting the to-do value here. This dot to do. Yeah, should update. Let's check this. Fields and objects. And as you're going through this, like you'll run into issues. And I mean, this is part of the debugging process, why I wanted to do it live, so everybody can kind of see some thought processes as they go through. Let's print this out and see if it changes. So this is not being reactive for some reason. What are we missing here? This is why you don't take boilerplate code that gets generated from. I guess we can do like, we can do an on change and then set the value. I thought, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that it automatically set it for you, but I could be getting mixed up. I've been coding in a few different languages. So let's do that. We don't need a default value. Let's do an on change and then add on change, throw in an event. Let's see if it pops in here. It does not. So this dot to do equals event dot target dot value. And that should grab the value. And this is why I'm doing it now, so that when I actually run through some of these things, there we go, live, I will be able to, speak on it a little bit better. All right, so we just needed to do that on change. I swear that just setting the value to each other would work, but whatever. Or just having the value set automatically would figure its life out, but it did not. All right, so we've got our button to add. Our add button seems to be working now, right? So we saw that here. We can type in a value, hit add. It's calling that add function, taking the value from here and setting it, or we're seeing it in our console, which is great. So these two functions are kind of working. Now we need to take a look at how we can display those values that we're adding to our to-do list. So this is semi-right. Let's drop this back in. All right, what's going on with our p tags here? We've got a li to match here. Maybe our p. Let's add a to-dos object. Why does it not like this unordered list? Is it because of the template being inside of here? Let's change this into a div. There we go. Who would have guessed? Okay, we've got our div for our footer. We've got the template for to-dos, right? To-dos is an object, and then each to-dos will be a to-do, and we have to have a key ID, and then that will print out some stuff. So what are we missing here? Our object structure is not correct, right? It must be an array. Doi. So this needs to be an empty array. And that's all fine there. And then inside of our empty array, we can start building out our object structure. So for every one of these to-do list items, we need an ID. I'm just going to put in 1 for now. And we need the value. And this is holding like the state of our to-do list. And I'll just put in test for now. So what we should see is once this loads, an unordered list starts popping out here. This is saying object because inside of here, we're putting the entire to-do and not the value. So we can show off the to-do.id as well. All right, I'm back. There we go. We're starting to see stuff. So now what we're expecting is if we type 1, 2, 3, hit add, it should add to this UL list. So to do that, test 1, 2, 3. What we want to do is this dot todos equals. We're going to do a list spread our current to-dos. I don't know if I like the name of to-dos for that. I'm gonna say to-do list because to-dos is tripping me up. There we go. Save. So we're gonna spread our current to-do list, and then let's do let to-do. Let's do new to-do. Let's be a little bit more specific. Take this structure here. We took too much of that structure. The ID will be this dot to-do list dot length +1 because you need to have unique IDs, and then we can add in our this should be, should probably be to-do value. We'll keep it like that. This drops in here. And then we also need to change. So this is our on-change handler. The button gets pressed there. This value does not exist anymore. This does not need to be defaulted. So save, save, save. When we also need to add in our new to-do to the list. All right, so if you type in 1, 2, 3, to-do value is not defined. Let's see, to-do value. We got to-do value up there. This dot, I'm gonna keep forgetting that, so. Oh, I also noticed that my autopilot is off for JS, probably when I was making a course. So 1, 2, 3, we're added, SLDS. So we're adding the value, and we see that the value is, the ID is increasing, which makes it unique. So that all is working, and this looks very ugly. So let's clean it up a little bit. We're gonna use the Lightning, is it the layout? We're gonna use the layout. Layouts are also your best friend because they will make your code look very nice. So let's start dropping some of this stuff into layout, just so that our buttons have some decent spacing. Okay, drop here, grab this, put this in. And for sizing, size we'll do 9 here and a size of 3 over here. Remove some of this dead space. Let's see what this looks like. Looks a lot better. Test. Okay, so we're able to add items into our to-do list. We can, we have a list in here, which is perfect. What do we want to work on next? Either resetting the value or in our to-do list, or creating a child component for each of our to-do list items. I think we will probably do the to-do list items, right? Because we've got the to-dos being added to our list. We've got some nice complex adding or complex objects being reactive here. And then, yeah, we can, what is this saying? We need SLDS. Oh, this is like the new, this, only VS Code cries about this, I swear. Right, vars, p, oh yeah, okay. So that looks good. Let's work on the child component. So what we want this to look like underneath here, right? So let's take a peek, test, enter. This one has a little circle in there. These have got maybe a box and a delete with it. So that looked kind of good. And if you're not familiar, let's go to SLDS. I think there's a box utility, and yeah, that box looks pretty good. I like that. So it's just SLDS box. So yeah, let's work on our list now, so we can remove all of this stuff. To do that, I'm going to create a new Lightning Web component. We're going to call this to-do list item, or I'll just do to-do item since this is just called to-do. Create it in the same folder, and let's bring up our to-do list. Right? Isn't that what I called it? Our to-do item. Gosh, I'm already forgetting. Let's grab that code from that box and drop it in. All right. Move this to the right. So we've got all of the to-dos over here, and then to-do list item. And then to pull this in, we can do it a few different ways. Let's remove the ULs because we don't need that anymore. And I'm trying to understand how we want to structure this for the list items here. We could put it in a div. Let's just drop them. Let's just drop them to do. Oh, it's already popping stuff in. So we don't want to pass an object just yet. And we need a key. Don't know if we can add our key into here. Oh, we can. All right, let's see what this looks like. And it's broken. So it probably doesn't like our key on the object itself. Let's do a div. This is something I've got to look up. So let's do LWC iteration. And no, I want the actual documentation. Because I want to see if to give an example. This is not with a child component. It's also not with a child component. Let's see, it's probably on composition. This is just multiple to-do list items, but nothing about list iteration. So I think we probably need a div. All right, what's going on with our key? Oh, we didn't put our ID in. Hold on. Let's try to move this back. Let's see if it complains. Div is missing key. Let's try to remove our div really quickly because I want to just see if it'll go straight onto that. Oh, it will. Okay, perfect. This is what I wanted to do, at least for right now. We might need to put that div back. Okay, so as this reloads, we should be able to do test and more boxes get created. Cool. And now we need to pass our info from the object that we have created in here into the to-do list items, right? So we were kind of seeing that. It was kind of like previewing some of that. So there's multiple ways that we could do this, but there's two that I'm thinking about right now. We could pass the entire object in, or we can pass in just the values that we need. And right now, the only values that we care about are the ID and the value itself. Let's do it the simple way, and then maybe we'll do it the harder way afterwards. So in our to-do list items, we need some values, right? So we're going to use @API. Let's do to-do list item because that sounds like a pretty good name. Add in the API import, and then over in the HTML, we can drop the value in. So now to pull in that value from our HTML or from our parent to our child, we need to do to-do-item equals to-do dot, I hope I called it value. Let's check it out. It looks like it's working, right? So we've got, is that working? Let's see. No, it's not working. What are we missing here? This is called value. The to-do list, oh. Let's wrap these in the expression here. Yeah, to-do list item. Okay. We can do more tests. I'm not liking the spacing between these, so we'll have to figure that out. But we can see the value is coming through here, which we do like. So we're getting pretty far, right? We're able to, it's very similar to this one, right? We're able to add items to our to-do list, and we also need to see about deleting, or let's get the spacing right, and then we'll work on some additional functionality for it. So there's multiple ways of doing the spacing. We could do it on the parent and add spacing between each of these. I think that is safer because we technically control the, we know what the spacing is going to be on the parent. And this, since this is always a child component, then it kind of makes sense. So let's see if we can add a class to this child component, or we might need to do it to the we might need to do it in a div, around a div. Why is this still complaining? What do you want? What do you want? just fix it. Why do you hate me? VS Code. It's deprecated or invalid. All right, going back to SLDS padding. Let's see what the actual documentation recommends. So we've got, let's do some around small. Maybe I misspelled something. I don't know. So this is horizontal small. We need around over here, and then let's check out horizontal. Let's just grab this. So SLDS will make it a lot easier. Okay. When we're making all of these changes, and I don't even have to think about the padding and the spacing and all of that. For me, as somebody who doesn't do a lot of design stuff, this works great. So perfect, right? We're able to add items. We can we see them in here, and we're doing parent to child communication because we're sending our new value down to the child. So that is working out great. Next, let's look at deleting something. Right, because we have a few different actions that we want our code to take. We either want to be able to complete it or delete it. So what are we thinking for that action? Right, we need some sort of button on the child, and we need to be able to complete it or delete it. Those are two separate buttons. So that makes me think about the button group. So we've got a button group here, and they're basically attached, right? Which makes it really cool. So this looks good. I maybe want to just have icons, but we can do buttons with icons inside of the button group. So let's grab this, jump back into our code. We want to go to our child component. Inside of the child component, we also need to do make this layout look a little bit better. So lightning layout, and then we need a lightning layout item. We're gonna need multiples of these. Just trying to fill in something. All right, let's drop in this code, and then let's move the actual to-do list item into here. We can, I'm trying to think of like what to call this or what to do with that, but we'll do that later. Let's call this delete, or let's call this complete and delete. Let's see what that looks like. I mean, it looks, but it doesn't look that good. We need to do some sizing. Size equal, let's do 9 and 3 again. And then let's figure out those icons as well. All right, so we've got, is a save icon count as complete? Do they have like a check mark? Let's go to the SLDS icons, and then I think, I forgot, there's a way to search through the icons to see all of them. Just blueprints for the icons. Let's see if there's a check utility. So check is there. If we copy the delete, let's grab that. Replace, and then we'll also just throw the delete in here. Let's wrap again so that we can see the code, and then I want to type in check. That will be complete. Changing all this boilerplate code. Good. And this needs to be 3. What is this crying about? VS Code's always got something to say. That's why I'm a big IntelliJ fan. All right, this did not load well, so something else is up. Layout items, that looks good. What is this talking about? Undefined size. Oh, I put it in the wrong place. Not on the button group, I need to put it up here. All right, reloading. Doesn't look too bad, and here are the button group items so we can check and delete. So we'll need to create specific functions for either of these. And as we've seen, the values or the overall information about our to-do list is on the parent. So we'll need to send that information back up. And I'm drinking some hot chocolate, so give me a second. Okay. Let me hover over this. Clickable images, button icons. It does not like, what's the quick fix? Oh, it's just, there's some validation that's going on. So I'm not a fan of how the icons turned out. Let me see if we can. Because these look better if they're actual lightning buttons. Because you can see in here very close, there's like a little bit of a space, so it's not being created properly. It's not doing like the correct button type thing. So let's drop these in. And do we have two? Whoops. Let's get over there. There we go. And then let's put this as the check. Complete. Well, I'm going to remove the label. Let's see what happens when I do that. Because I just want it to look like a button. Oh, that's killing me. Let's increase the size here. Put this down to 8. Still killing me. All right, let's move it some more. Half and half. Does that make sense? Let's do half and half. So I've got to figure that out. There's some like box or padding that's going on. I would like this a little bit more to the right, but like I mentioned, I'm not a front end person. I do these so that I can learn more of the front end stuff and make it better. But yeah, I don't have all day. Okay, so we have our to-do list. We're able to add items to it. We now need to be able to we need to be able to check our items and then delete them from the list. And that's pretty much all the to-do list can do, right? That's this one. And then this one, the same thing. We can add stuff and clear it out. I kind of like that. This is showing, you know, a preview message. So now that we need to, let's work on the checking features. So let's make this look a little bit better. Heading, page headers, I think it's on text. All right, so we've got some examples of how to do like more bolded, more prominent text for the to-do list items. So let's grab this. Get out the way, Mr. Paragraph Tag, throw this in here. And that should look a little bit better when we get to it. Now, we need another state for the to-do list item object to be in, right? We need to understand the status of it. And there's, at least for right now, one status of done or to do, or sorry, complete, right? You can call it done or completed. So if the to-do list is of the status of completed, then we need to like do a strike through or something like that, cross it off. And we'll also need to do some sort of status value when we create it, when we pass our values through. I'm trying to make sure, I'm just thinking about this. Does this all make sense? Yeah, we've got our status. It's going to be completed. And whenever the value is completed, we need a strike through. So let's see if there's anything in SLDS for, see a bunch in here, strike. Nothing's popping up. So yes, strike through. And this might just need to be normal. It's a line clamp. This might just need to be normal CSS. Line clamp, line clamp. Give me an example of a line. Oh, it truncates the code. Utilities. I don't think I've ever seen a strike through. So we'll need to do CSS text strike through. Let's see what that looks like. All right, I clicked on it. I just need the specific thing. It looks like it's this. Let's take a look at what that looks like if we right click and add a style onto that element. It's not bad. This is what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. So to do this, we need to basically dynamically add a class onto the to-do list itself. To do that, I'm going to create a span. And well, let's end our span here and expand this out a little bit. So spans are great for these types of situations where you need to do like custom text on a specific section, but also keep some, keep the overall structure of your elements and the text in it. So if I had more text around this or before it, I could just focus on the specific text inside of here. That being said, I also need a new CSS class. I'm just going to save this right now for my child object. So I'm just going to come in here, a new file, to do item CSS, and I'm going to say, call this strike. It's good enough. And it's popping this stuff in already. So that's great. Save this. And I need to, for the span, add in the class of strike. So let's see what this looks like. Let's make sure this is what we are interested in. Right, so every time, at least for right now, it's going to show the strike through, which isn't exactly what we want, but we're going to dynamically decide on that in a moment. So to dynamically set this class, we'll need to basically make a decision. Use an expression to tell us when to use that class or not. And to do that, let's just call this to do done or complete. If I could spell complete. All right, let's jump to the JS. We're gonna use a getter, get. Oh, I like is completed better. It's killing me. That's perfect. Actually, no. Is that perfect? Let's do complete class because we're changing the CSS for it. So this getter will decide, this getter will decide if it is completed or not. And then this is doing a preview. So if it's completed, so it'll call this function. If it's completed, then we need to show the strike. Let's call this strike text. I like that better. Save. We need to pass in the strike text, else we are just making it be blank. That did not work. That should have worked. Let's see what's going on here. We've got our span. We do not have the class on the span. Let's make sure that everything is hooked up. Let's print this out. So that is not coming through the status. This dot to do Oh, you know what this is? This is the name. This is not the object. So we also need to pass in the API to do status. And this should probably be value. That's a better name since we're getting confused about it. All right, save that. We're gonna get an error here to do value. And then we need to come back here and pass in the to do. Well, this now needs to be value. And let's start expanding this out since it's getting very long. Unexpected to, all right, I'm tired of that unexpected token error. And we're gonna do to do, what do we call it? Status. There we go, that looks about right. Save, save, save. We're still not getting our check. The check. Why are we not getting the check? Status should get passed through. Status completed. Goes over here to do status. Let's print some of this stuff out so that we know what's going on. What's kind of cool is we can do it inside of our getter. This dot to do status. This dot to do or let's do log. This dot to do status. Let's see what that value is. Completed should be, oh, here's the error. That's no longer an object. This should be taking the value directly. Okay, we are getting completed printed out and we're starting to see some strike throughs, which is great. But if we create a brand new one, it is not struck. So let's remove this and check this out one more time. We've still got the text in here. Let's remove that because that's looking good. But we're able to dynamically add CSS class, which is kind of cool. Now, we need to send a message back to the parent when we click the completed button. So this is already popping it out. Let's see. This looks pretty good. To-do list complete. This dot detail to-do list value. We don't want to send the value. We actually need the ID. So now you're starting to see why we'd want to send the object. Because we're basically just taking everything, right? We're sending all of the info back down and sending it back up. So yeah, we've got the status here. We can probably close that out, but I'll keep it up for right now. And then on click of this, we need to, gosh, what is this called? Handle complete. So that button press, we're gonna call an event down here, and then we're gonna pass a value up. We also need to set this dot status to do status equals completed. And all that stuff will, well, let's actually just check this first. What's going on here? Why are we getting errors? Dispatch an element. Hold on. Well, we can see it working, but we are getting errors in our console. Event name must start with lowercase. Why is it, how does it still know? How does it know that this is coming out? It's commented. So yeah, this should be to do completed. Right, because the event shouldn't be uppercase. Let's see if that was the issue. So we can add, we can complete, we cannot delete. I think at least for what we're trying to do, just doing the completion is fine. We probably need to toggle this, right? Because we either want it to be completed, and this it could be a Boolean, right? It doesn't need to be you're either completed or you're not. There's no in between. There's no status. So let's change this to be true. We're sending a Boolean through. we don't need this anymore. Since it's a Boolean, we don't need to check it to see if it is completed or not. We'll just use the Boolean value. This is going to simplify it a ton. And then we need to just check the status, because this will just return true. All right, that's a lot cleaner. And then every time we handle the click, all we need to do is reverse the status. This will be true or false, or whatever the current value is, it'll just reverse it. And I broke a ton of stuff. What did I break? To-do list status is not defined on the, there we go. It happens to me all the time. So if you're just starting out and you're doing that a ton, it's okay, I do it too. All right, so we can check and uncheck these values. We can add new ones and check and uncheck them, but we cannot delete them. So I think delete is where we actually care about doing the propagation to the parent, right? We need to be able to send the value up to the parent. So let's remove this. And it's starting to pull through my handle delete stuff. We're passing the ID, which is great. So all of this just pre-populated thanks to Copilot. Now we need to do an on-click variant. Why are these switched? Oh, because it has a variant. Okay, I guess that's fine. Let's put this at the end. Handle delete. So that should call this. This handle delete will take the ID, throw it up to the parent. The parent then needs to handle that. So on delete, handle, I like calling these like delete handler. So it's going to call this function, delete handler, event. And that filled out everything, right? This is going to use the event details, which this should be the ID, do a filter based on the to-do list, which is appropriate, find the ID, filter it out, and then reset it back into the to-do list filter, which will be reactive because we're doing a set like that. So let's, oh, we're not getting a value in there. I know why we're not getting a value. We did not pass in the to-do list ID. All right, let's use these. We can check these, and the, I guess, crescendo, I don't know. We can delete them, so that's working great. We can add these. Let's add a bunch of them, delete, and then add. And we're seeing that we're getting an error here. So the reason we're getting this error is because we are using the length here, which is not the best practice because we need to this length is going to add or shrink depending on how many items we have in our list. So the better solution is to have to-do list count or list. I'm trying to think of the name. So it's basically our ID counter. Let's call it that. And we'll start it out at 0. Because ideally, like this is preloading in data so that we can see it. But if we didn't have anything, or we were pulling our data from Salesforce, then we wouldn't have anything in this list. So let's start out at 0, and we then need to do the counter here. This dot counter, ID counter, and we always need to increment our this dot ID counter plus plus. All right. Oop. Let's. God, can't type. Let's do that. So we always need to increment it. Remove this. Remove that value. And then add. Or we don't need to add it here. Okay. We always need to add a value or into the ID counter. So the problem that we'll face now as we refresh is if we add in for the first time, the ID is going to start out at 1. And this, if we have pre-filled information in, it's going to start out at 1 as well. So let's do connected callback. Let's know that it's connected, and this dot ID counter equals the length of our list, right? So we want to, if we get data loaded in, we want to start the ID counter out at the top of it. So if you got 1, 2, 3 in here, and that got added properly, we can add a bunch, delete in the middle, and add them some more. We can see the ID is getting deleted here as well, which is awesome. Cool. What's the last thing? We see our connected callback being called when it gets rendered. We're pretty close to being done, I think, right? Because we're able to add items to our to-do list. We can delete items, which is great. Maybe just adding in a reset for everything. Let's see. This one's got a reset up there. We've kind of got that functionality going. This one, we could add some boilerplate placeholder text for it. And probably do some big stuff to do. I kind of like how it says, I'll do to-do list. So let's take a look at this button, and we won't call this new, we'll call this clear list. We will need an on-click. Remove list items. It'll be more handle clear. All right, save that. Let's put this next to my other handler. Let's see if this fills it out. Not 100%. So it needs to be this dot to do list, and we'll set this to an empty list. Also, when we do our add to do list, let's clear out the value of this dot value to do value, right? Because it looks a little weird when it keeps the same value in there. Save all that. So we've got this clear list. We can clear out everything. We add. The add did not clear the value. The add did not clear the value because the value here, that's why we had this at the beginning. I think it's called to do value. Test. Okay, now that's being cleared out. We're able to add in, delete. We can clear the list without an error. Let's add we'll probably need to stop that. We need to do some validations so that we can't add blank values. I think there is, I've seen it before. There's like an LWC. Let me clear up some of this stuff. Field validation. There's like a default validation that I've seen inside the documentation that just kind of works. Let me see if it's this. This is valid. This is not what I'm looking for. It might be in here. Okay, this is a lot. What is going on here? I know I have seen this validation in the developer, what is this called? Developer guide. Validating fields in Aura. Let's see if it's in the inputs.
Here we go. I mean, we can just check if it's blank. I know I'm going a little overboard. Let's check if it's blank. So add to-do list item if, I guess already filling it in. All right, if to-do list item is blank, then we just return. We can the final thing that I'll do, I don't know if this will show modals, right? So this is not gonna give us an error, but we can do, well, we'd have to select the component and then, yeah, that's a little advanced. I don't know if I want to do all of that. So there is a way to show on the actual component itself that there's an issue. When we try to press that, there's a couple things we can do. We can do a template to show the value or not. So an if else to show the error that's popping up, or we can, I don't think I talk about this in the course, which is why I'm straying away from it. We can do a selection of like query the individual item, the input value, and then show that report the validity, which will show that it's incorrect. That's a little more advanced. So I think I'm going to stay away from that. I think I'm going to stop here and just say like, all right, can't do it. Because also the toasts, I don't think they work in, the development server. Let's do the toast. Let's just try to drop this in really quickly and see if it shows up. This just needs to be test. I need a more basic one. Jeez. Or they have an alert. Let me see. Oh, that looks pretty heavy. And the LWC ones. All right, fine. I'll just type it out. And the variance, error. All right, let's see if this works. It works. It'll be the final thing. Just some validation. We need to add the toast into this. We're gonna add this. Import the toasts. All right, so it definitely does not work. So I will undo all of that. And I really want to show a validation. So let's just end with like a silly alert and go from there. Because I know I don't talk about this, so I don't want to go too much further than some of the things that I'm covering in the course. And we'll shoot JS alert. Let's see if this works. All right, let's see. And you must add a value. Okay, we add a value. We've got our to-do list. We can check, uncheck, and we can delete. I think that's it. Right? We're able to do more of the functionality in this because this doesn't really have a check. And then I kind of like this strike through with the button and the unclick button, but that's fine. And we've got a default. Let's do this because I think that'll show off some of the templating. So the final thing we will do is let's do
in, let's do a template. We can't do the LWC ifs inside of the local development servers because it's too new. So show empty message. Okay, that added a lot of stuff. We need to finish with our template, and that will clear it up. And padding around, small, size 12. Okay, heading. Add some to-do list items. And we need to do a getter for this. Get this. And if our length is 0, right? So if there's nothing in there, we want to show, you need to add some text. Oh, that's looking a little rough. And it's destructive. Why is it destructive? Let's take this out. Let's correct this. Hit save. And lightning layout item, size 12. This is size 9. Okay, let's try that again. Why are we getting these expanded? Oh, we need to add in, what is it, multi-row equals true. So we get these on multiple rows, obviously. Delete, add some to-do list items. If we add an item, it moves because we don't have as much space. That doesn't look too bad. That doesn't look too bad. And also consider hiding this section. All right, let's do that too. Because since we have the last thing, this super last thing, we want to template if false. And we can't, we need to use the show empty message. Gosh, what is all of this that it's pre-filling in here? We're going to call this has I'm trying to think of a better name other than show empty message, because that's not true anymore. We need to, it has to-do list items is technically what it is. And let's close this off. And close this off. Well, now it's crying. Let's jump into the footer. Because I don't like the empty line here. That's tripping me up. All right, so we'll call this, if it's true, we need to show that. If it's false, which I think we need to flip it. This is going to be false. This is going to be true. And this needs to be greater than that value. And if it has to-do list items, the length will be greater than 0. So it'll be true. Otherwise, it'll be false. If we delete this, we don't have that underline button. And we can see, add some to-do list items. Drop it. All right, what's going on here? All right, last thing to debug. This is hitting true. To-do list. Has to-do list items. To-do list dot length greater than 0, which was true. The value. Let's take a look at the add. To-do list. Has to-do list items. We're trying to dynamically add in the footer. Are we allowed to dynamically add in the footer is the next question, right? Because I don't know if it just doesn't like that at all.
Why does it not like that? Because when I refresh the page, it's here, looking fine. You can add stuff, delete, delete. That's coming up. That's perfect. But when we add in an item, let's print out the has console.log. Say the function that we're calling, and then we'll do this dot as to-do list items. Let's make sure we spell Alex spelled correctly. Delete, add. Why is this false? Why is this false? Let's log again. Delete this. We need to check the to-do list dot length. And we technically need to check it here. We'll recheck everything after we add it. Add, delete, add again. Add to do. So at first it's false, and then when we add it, it is true. But the component, the section is not coming back. Can we move this slot up here? No. I don't think it likes that we are removing, or we're removing and then dynamically adding back in the slot for this. Let me think about this. Let's try doing this, but this is going to keep the line that we have. Does not like that. Oh, I put it inside of the piece here. Reload, reload, remove, add. So yeah, I don't think it likes that we're dynamically adding in the sections. I could just remove it completely and put this underneath. But we have a footer for a reason. So I think that's where I'm going to end it for right now. I'm not too happy about this line, but once again, like I've been harping on, I'm not a designer person. Some design person can go and figure this out and how to show this and not show it at the right point. It does not like that we're adding a slot and then we have a slot existing and then we remove it afterwards. But I think this covered everything that I wanted to cover. Let me clean this up a little bit. I will be creating a repository for everybody to take a look at this. I'll do it now. Let's add everything in, call this init, and we will call this maybe code live. Well, I think Salesforce uses code live code. Salesforce LWC to do list. So you can find it. I'll also be putting it at in the description whenever this video finally loads. But yeah, you'll be able to, if you want to copy this code and see all the code, you can definitely grab it there. Other than that, just running through, making sure everything is cleaned up. Everything looks good here. Looks good here. We've got our alert, which I'm not too happy about, but we'll stick with that for now. We've got a counter, some templates showing. We can just delete this since we can just, where'd this p tag come from? This should probably just be a div. And let's back this up. Let's back this up and remove this because it's not doing what I want it to do. And Let's do one more check to make sure everything is working. Define type of value. All right, what did I break? Let's do everything one at a time. Oh, we need to remove this, not the whole thing. All right, save. Still working. Okay, and let's also just empty this out because we used it to test, but we don't want to start with a to-do list item. We want to start in this state. Test, adding items, we can check it, we can delete it. So that's working out perfectly. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can clean this up, but I think for our first pass in, what was this, hour and 20 minutes maybe, just clearing this out, not too bad. So we've got our clear, all that looks good. We'll need to deploy these updated changes. Updated design. All right, I'm tired of you, updated design token. This looks good. Passing in our values here. Do we need these labels? Let's see if it'll barf. Save that. We've got some getters going on here, which are awesome. And then our CSS class. So test. We've got our alert. Check and remove. And then let me add a few items here. It's easy. Clear a list. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's just do a cleanup. Yeah, let's push that through. So yeah, you all can check out the code base there. It's pushed up on GitHub now. And I think I got through what I wanted to, which was creating some baseline to-do lists. I'll be going over this in much more detail. I'm sure if you're watching this, I'm going over it kind of fast just because I want to figure out what I want to do. And then in the actual lectures, it'll be more detailed. So if this was too fast for you, just hang around or wait until I create the official course around this. You can check, it'll be in the description, but check it out at courses.salesforcementor.com. And other than that, thanks for hanging out, everybody in the chat. I really appreciate you coming out and helping out and being my first live stream in a while. Super exciting. So happy that I was able to get through it and no major technical difficulties. But yeah, other than that, really cool project that we're working on, something that everybody should try out as you're building and trying to learn LWC. And it's a great project for anybody to get started with and to really get your feet wet. So if you have ideas or an example that you want to show me, you're building this out and you want to build it in a different way, definitely send it my way because I'm interested in seeing how everybody builds these out and what it kind of looks like. But that's going to be it. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will check you next one. I'm Walters954, and remember, I believe in you.